Recupping is really something that's done really well when we're trying to release the exterior. So whenever someone's showing signs of pathogenic attacks, such as virus, such as a common cold, releasing the exterior is good. So because we're kind of inducing like almost like a febrile response. You can see the redness here, which indicates heat. So we're releasing that heat, pathogenic heat. That's what it means by releasing the exterior. So when you get pathogenic wind, usually enters here at the nape of the neck, especially as the seasons change. It gets colder. We're more susceptible to external pathogenic attacks such as wind, cold invasion. That's why recupping is really nice in the winter time. Highly recommend it. How are you doing so far? Thoracic one right here. T2. Okay. T3. T4. T5. T6. T7. Yep, exactly a T7. Good. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, T2. Yep, right over here. So this would be T3. And just kind of hammer your way down. You see, that's why drawing the meridian is kind of useful, because this is the meridian that we're working with today. And if you like, you can even stick a needle on urinary bladder 40, because we're working on low back pain. That's tender here. There's a distal point to help with the low back pain, so we can pressure there. It's also important to note that there's some more acupuncture points here, small intestine channel that we can target. We can draw on another day. For now, yep. Small intestine 9, 10, 12, 13, right over here. How does this feel? You may have certain issues with certain organs, and this becomes really helpful as targeting points. Of course, it's very helpful to needle them. That's my preferred method, which we'll get to in future videos. But for now, just to kind of demonstrate what we're working with, we are just working with these meridians. So I'm starting to as individuals that walk on 2 feet, sit on computer chairs, and essentially weaken their postural muscles due to the over support that we provided. So every now and then it's actually good to sit without back support, and especially away from the chair, because the chair kind of tightens our psoas muscles, and that's why most people are unable to sit cross-legged on the ground. It's actually a very healthy way to sit. Welcome everyone. Before we begin today's session, I'd like to invite all of you to take 3 slow, easy, deep breaths in with me. Taking a deep breath in through your nose and out your mouth. Becoming aware of the rhythm of your breath. Taking in what you need, breathing in through the nose. Pausing and reflect on anything that doesn't need to be here right now. And exhale anything that's no longer serving you through the mouth. one last time, taking in whatever it is that you need, whether that's strength or maybe courage. Breathing that in, calm and peace, and exhaling, letting go of any anxiety, any worry, any doubt, any frustrations. Perfect. So, before we begin today's session of back meridian tracing and also cupping, I'd just like to clear the room. I have clear the room of some energy. I have some Palmo Santo here. Alright. There we go. Just to remove any unwanted negative energies that may be lingering around. Okay, just waft this around the room. There we go. So thank you so much for being here today. Just going to unveil this for you. Okay. Here we are. And tie this string. Perfect. Okay. Good. Okay. So before we begin, I'm just going to ask if it's okay for me to. So in this session, I'm going to be putting my hands on your back. I'm going to be drawing some acupuncture points and some meridians using your markers. And I'm also going to do some cupping with suction cup, plastic cups. Is that something that you're okay with?
Yes.
Okay, good, perfect. So I'm just gonna spray this aura spray. Just to lighten up the space over here. And we're gonna begin by mapping out some acupuncture points and some landmarks. We got this beautiful wooden ruler right here. I'm just gonna place that over here. My acupuncture book. So today we're going to do the urinary bladder meridian, which runs along the paravertebrals. These are a muscle group that lies parallel to the spinal column. There's a very cool mnemonic I learned when I was in school. I love spinach, which basically represents the three major muscle groups here, the iliocostalis, longissimus, and spinalis. So that's where the urinary bladder channel pretty much lies. So that's what we're going to be mapping today. Okay, so starting with urinary bladder 11. Okay, I just like to just map out the spine. We have a marker here. Why don't we choose this turquoise and blue? All right, perfect. So the first thing I like to do is mark out the end of the scapula. Okay, so we have the scapula here. There'll be a pointy part right over there. Just right over here. This is where the line is, right there. Perfect. So just gonna see if we can draw that something perhaps a little bit darker. This dark blue could do. Okay, so we're just gonna find it's called the apex of the scapula. That would be the most pointy part. Right over there. Right over there. Okay. And that tends to line up with this spinous process here, which we call T7 or thoracic 7. You can easily find that by finding T1 and C1. Able to turn your head from side to side. Thank you. And to the other side. Okay, so this would be the T1 segment, thoracic 1 right here. T2. Okay. T3. T4. T5. T6. T7. Yep, exactly a T7. T7. Good. Okay. And then, so the first landmark's T1, second landmark's T3, which would be in level of the spine of the scapula right over here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, T2. Yep, right over here. So this would be T3, which will be in level of the scapula over here. So from the scapular border, which is right over here, I'm gonna mark that down all the way to the spinous process is 3 chins. Basically, we divide that into 3. So for 1 here, it's 1 chin, 2 chins, 3 chin. And why that's important is because the urinary bladder, which will pick a different color. Maybe we'll choose pink. The urinary bladder channel lies on the 1.5 chin away from the spinous process. So if that's 1 chin, this is 1.5 chin. And then the second row of it lies on the 3rd chin, which is just at the scapular border. And that's going to be parallel on both sides of the scapula. So if we mark the chin measurements here as well, we have 3 chins, we said, from the spinous, the border of the scapula, which is right here. This is the scapula. The scapula is a wing-shaped floating bone. And that's why it's very mobile. You can see that. It can kind of move the scapula around. That's the 3 chins. The first line would be 1.5 chin. And then the second line would be on the 3rd chin. Okay, so what's the urinary bladder channel? The urinary bladder is the yin pair organ to the kidney channel meridian, which runs from the base of the foot all the way up to the anterior part of the thorax, or it runs up into the chest, the front part of the chest. The urinary bladder runs in the back. We've already mapped out the governing channel or due meridian channel, which I have in another video. So we're going to begin with the urinary bladder. Why? Because these channels are particularly important for certain organ functions. So they're called back shoes of each organ are located in the urinary bladder channel. As I mentioned, the paravertebrals, as we can see here, they tend to get tight and they tend to cause us constrictions and restrictions in our mobility, affecting our ability to breathe deeply like we did earlier on that breathing exercise. And because of that immobilization and constriction, it can also cause us some back pain in the long term. Okay, so it's very important to take care of our spine and our back and make sure that it's healthy. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is map out the urinary bladder channel, and then we're gonna do some cupping over it, if that's okay. All right, so I'm going to write with this blue marker. Okay, so we have first the urinary bladder 1, which is on T1, level of T1. So this is T1, as we said over here, and it's 1.5 Chen. So that pink, that's where it'd be. So that would be bilateral, meaning it'll be on both sides. We're gonna trace that up there. See how parallel it is. Okay, so that's urinary bladder 11. Okay, so urinary bladder 11, if I remember correctly, yeah, it's the influential point of bone. So certain conditions such as arthritis, anything to do with bone, this is a really good choice of point to choose when doing acupuncture. Urinary bladder 12 is just inferior to the base of the second spinous process, or what we call T2, which we've marked over here. T1, this is T2, and this is the base right over here. This is, yeah, right over here is the base. T1, T2, okay, right over here is the base, as we said. So it should be actually right here, and the second one is right over there. So this is urinary bladder 12. Okay, are these points tender at all? Are they painful when they're being pressed on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they are for some people, especially people who work on the desk a lot, because they are posture. So the next set of point is the urinary bladder 13, which is just under T3, which are marked by these pink markers. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the pink because the pink seems to be more visible on the skin here. So I'm just going to mark these with a pink marker. Okay, this is 11, this is 12, this is 13. Okay, and then we got urinary bladder 14, which is in line with the base of the thoracic 4 spinous process. Just gonna mark that over here. That's number 14. Okay, it's really hard to see, but that's 14. Okay, T4. Next is T5. Okay, so what's important here is that urinary bladder 13 is the back shoe of the liver. Urinary bladder 14 is the back shoe of the pericardium. Urinary bladder 15 is the back shoe of the heart. So T5. Right over there is the heart. Second row heart. Pericardium. Liver. So people with heart pathologies, these two, pericardium and heart, they tend to be... So where were we? Yes, okay, so we are just talking about the heart and pericardium. Important points for heart pathologies such as insomnia, anxiety. Pericardium is also used for nausea. Liver is often used for anger and frustration. You have liver qi stagnation, a lot of repressed emotions tend to linger there. Okay, so we said that was T5. Okay, T6 right here. Okay, T6. It's T6. And T6 is the back shoe of the governing vessel channel. The back shoe of the governing vessel channel. So that's 1.5 chin right over here. Oopsies. There we go. This is a different shade of pink now. Yeah. Back shoe of the governing vessel channel. Gonna write with this. I'm gonna write with the purple one to make it a little bit more visible. Alright, this is governing vessel. Oops, actually. Stick with the blue one here. Governing vessel. Oh, much better. There we go, governing vessel. The governing vessel is also called the dew meridian. Really important as it passes through the Mingmen, or the gate of life. So a lot of essence, kidney essence, basically about your longevity is there. So one of the landmarks is T7, which is what we mapped up over here, which is also under at the apex of the scapula, as we said. Okay, right over there. And this one over here, UB17, right there. Okay, so that's the influential point of blood. So the influential point of blood is really important for blood disorders such as anemia. So low hemoglobin or red blood cells. This is a really good point for that, so that's why I'm coloring it in red. That's the influential point of blood. Okay, T8 doesn't have any point next to it. Which moves us to T9. This was T7. Influential point of blood is UB17. Right, so it's UB17 here. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Okay. Alright, so T8 we skipped because there's no acupuncture point there. And T9 over here. T9. T9 is urinary bladder 18. Okay, UB18. And urinary bladder 18 is the back shoe of the liver. 1 second. Sorry, the T3 is the back shoe of the lung, not liver, excuse me. Yeah, so T3 over here is good for lung pathologies. So asthma, difficulty breathing, cough, that tends to open the chest. Urinary bladder um, 18 is the back shoe of the liver. Okay, which we talked about earlier, anger, frustration, that kind of stuff. Gallbladder is very similar because it's the yin pair of the liver. So that would be GB, gallbladder. UB19. Okay. Yeah, the gallbladder, very tied to the liver. So a lot of gallbladder pathologies will show up in physical, like jaundice or yellowing of the skin, and the sclera, the whites of the eyes. Okay, it's to do with digestion. There's excretion of bile, which is responsible for digesting fats. So people with either gallstones that tends to get clogged up in the bile duct, they'll have a difficult time digesting fats. So they'll often find you get tummy ache, or they'll have like slimy stools, loose stools after eating fatty foods, which happens to be damaging for the liver as well in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, so we did your gallbladder, so T11 here. Yeah, so that's 9, 10, 11. So T11 here is urinary bladder 20. Okay, and that is the what is called the back shoe of the spine. So a lot of spinal conditions, back pain, certain spinal conditions such as my mind is blanking out now, but spondylolisthesis. There's a condition where the spine kind of fuses together, which the name escapes me. I'll come back to me. That's a really good point for that. And when we adjust them, when we deliver an adjustment to the back, we can actually open those spinous processes to create more spaces for them. Okay, so T12. The one after that. Sometimes it gets more and more difficult to kind of feel where the spine is. As they transition to the lumbar spine, the spaces between them gets wider. So T12 is urinary bladder 21. Okay, which is the back shoe of the stomach. So just remember that they are bilateral, meaning that they run on both sides. Okay, the stomach channel right here have to do with digestion. And now we're moving to the L1. There's a really neat way to kind of just maybe I'll switch colors here for the lumbar channel. Maybe I'll do green so we can differentiate between the thoracic spine and the lumbar spine. In my other video, I covered the 3 different segments of the back. We have 7 cervical spine. Okay, we have the typical and the atypical ones. And then we got the thoracic. There's 12 of them, as you can see here. And then starting with the lumbar, 5, and the sacral, which are fused bones, and also consist of 5 sacral bones. I'm just going to place this down a bit. Okay. We can locate the very tip of the ala of the pelvis, and run a line through there, so then it would actually from is the wing of the pelvis. The very tip of it usually land on L4, so just like with the T7 here, so this should be the L4 if that's correct. That's the L4, then we move our way up. Here, this is the L3. L1, L2. So as we said, there's 5 lumbar vertebra. L5 right here. Yeah, that's the iliac crest. That's what I was trying to remember. The very top of the iliac crest aligns with L4. And yeah, that's where that is. So now we're going from L1, which is the back shoe of the triple warmer, or the Sanjiao. Very interesting organ, which is invisible. Has to do with the 3 fires: upper, middle, and lower burner, or the jiaos. Helps with the function of those. Okay, so we have the triple warmer on the L1. On the L2 is, okay, this is a really important one, the back shoe of the kidneys. Also because on the L2, just slightly inferior of it, is the Mingmen, or GV4. That's a very important point. Okay, it crosses over with CV8 on the umbilicus, on the anterior portion, as what's called the Mingmen, or the door of gate in life and death. That's very important for where our essence or our Jing comes from, which are finite. So there are certain Qigong exercises that you can do to preserve your Jing or your life force. It's very important. Even placing your finger there and your belly button while meditating is a very calming, very grounding experience. I recommend to try it. Okay, so L3 over here is urinary bladder 24. Okay, so we got 23 for the kidneys, 22 for the triple warmer. And now L3, and then L4, which is urinary bladder 25, and then L5, which is urinary bladder 26, and then from there it'll then go to the sacrum, and 26, yeah, it's at the bottom of L5, yeah, which is right here. Okay, so let me just do a count just to make sure that we have everything corrected. So that's T1 we said over there, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8. They could be off a little bit by 1 spine actually. T9, T10, T11, 12, 13, sorry, 1, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. Okay, so everything needs to just be adjusted 1 spinal column down. I could have made a mistake with identifying C7 as T1. That's a very common mistake to do. Okay, so all in all, the first line of the urinary bladder channel runs, as I said, 1.5 chin from midline, and it goes down as such in one line going down, which we can actually trace from T1 all the way down. All the way down, okay? So they go bilaterally, meaning they go on both sides, going all the way down. Try to draw a straight line. It's tough when you are kind of on this angle, and then in the center is the spine. So that's just or the governing channel, which we can trace with our marker here. Again, gonna do my best to attempt a straight line right at the center. So that's the governing channel, GV. This is the first UB. Okay. And then what's interesting, so the urinary bladder channel actually starts here in the face, goes around the head, and then comes down the spine, goes all the way down to the legs, goes back up to the spine, and goes all the way down. So it's the most populated acupuncture meridian point at the most points, because from here we then move the points to the sacrum. So we can actually just bring this down slightly. Okay, and then the sacrum is a triangular shaped bone right over here. We're going to see if we can actually point to it. Yeah. So the sacrum would technically be a bone, triangular bone like so, and then it will continue here. Urinary bladder 27. So we finished at urinary bladder 26, 27, and then 28, 29, 30, and then it goes into the sacral foramina. There are 4 sacral foramina. There are 5 fused bones, right? So 1, 31, 32, 33, 34. Your bladder 27 is the back sheet of the small intestine. 28 is urinary bladder. That's the second one. Also where we palpate when assessing. In our spinal assessment, I'll show you how we assess the lumbar spine. So we can actually insert an acupuncture needle into these foraminas, or holes in the sacrum, which will go all the way to the nerves, and I can show you how that looks like. This is an example of a needle that would go, you can see the length of it. This is an example of a needle that would go, so you can see how long, that would go into the sacral foramina. Okay, so just an example. Okay, so then, as I said, I'll go down to urinary bladder 40, which is really good for the back. It's in the behind the knees. And I'll climb up again to urinary bladder 41. So maybe we'll choose a different color for that. Let's do the lighter green so that it matches with the rest of the urinary bladder channel. That would be 3 chins, so the very outer layer, and it starts on the T2. So if we said this was actually T1, so C1, T1, T2. Yeah, T2. So urinary bladder 41 would be at the very edge of the scapula, which is right here. 41. T3 is next. 42. T4. 43. T5. 44. T6. Yeah, we said we needed to ship everything down. T7. 46. Again, there's nothing on T8. So we skip to T9. Which is 47. T10. 48. T11. 49. T12. 50. Then we said L1. 51. And urinary bladder 52 ends on L2. So the second line of urinary bladder channel actually goes here. Oopsies. So we just gotta trace that. And we just, on the side, it'll be on the line of the scapular border downwards. Yeah. So what are these meridians? This is where the chi or energy or life force flow. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's believed that by manipulating these points, either through acupressure, by running pressure down them. So for example, you may have certain issues with certain organs, then this becomes really helpful as targeting points. Of course, it's very helpful to needle them. That's my preferred method, which we'll get to in future videos. But for now, just to kind of demonstrate what we're working with, we are just working with these meridians. So I'm starting to kind of so we can press on them. Can find tender points for this individual. She mentioned that the tender points are up higher, so we're the back chute of the heart. T5, pericardium, T4, right? Those are really important spots. In terms of pain, you can even feel the tension here. I'm just gonna put some more oil. Actually, very linseed oil. Back. And of course, we can use various tools to apply acupressure. Just gonna just lightly down to kind of have access to the back. Alright, so we can put away these markers. And we can first begin by offering some massage. Just to kind of loosen up these muscles. There's some really, really strong muscle players here. We've got the skeletal muscles, and we got some intrinsic muscles, much more smaller muscles that are constantly contracted. It's very hard to relax them. That's why they tend to misalign our spine, such as the multifidus, rotatories muscles, right? So those muscles are responsible for the structural, postural, called postural muscles. And then we got the bigger muscles like the latissimus dorsi, which is right here, the trapezius right here, the rhomboids. These tend to get tight as well. These muscles tend to fatigue with overuse, so they tend to tighten, right? You got over here as well. As I said, the iliocostalis, longissimus, and spinalis run in these paravertebrals, they're called. And then you got the psoas, which is a really deep structural muscle that connects all the way to the pelvis and into the even femur. So there's a lot of things that can go on the back. That's why, back problems is such a very common issue for people, partly because we are bipedal, meaning that we walk on two legs. That puts our center of gravity and our fulcrum is very delicate as opposed to a four-legged creature, right? Because they have more weight distribution. So that's why we have to be even more cognizant of our posture as bipedal individuals that walk on 2 feet. As individuals that walk on 2 feet, sit on computer chairs, and essentially weaken our postural muscles due to the over support that we provided. So every now and then it's actually good to sit without back support, and especially away from the chair, because the chair kind of tightens our psoas muscles, and that's why most people are unable to sit cross-legged on the ground. That's actually a very healthy way to sit. That's how I sit when I work on my computer, when I edit my videos. I sit on the ground on a low table. Okay, good. So we can use one of these tools. Call it the hammer. These hammer and chisel, essentially. You can find a tender point and just kind of hammer your way down. You see, that's why drawing the meridian is kind of useful, because this is the meridian that we're working with today. And if you like, you can even stick a needle on urinary bladder 40, because we're working on low back pain. That's a bit tender here. There's a distal point to help with the low back pain. So these are the back shoe of the spine, which was right. I can remember correctly, the back shoe of the spine is T11, urinary bladder 20. Right, so we can pressure there. It's also important to note that there's some more acupuncture points here, small intestine channel that we can target. We can draw on another day. For now, yeah, small intestine 9, 10, 12, 13, right over here. How does this feel with this pressure? So yeah, then there's this chisel, which we need to kind of stretch out.
Very stiff.
Okay, is this helping at all?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, just kind of like I think we can begin with cupping. So we have this. I find plastic cups actually quite ideal for this type of tightness in the back, because the plastic is a lot stronger than the silicone or the fire. Yeah. So I find the plastic ideal over the silicone and the fire for extremely tight backs. So these are color coded, blue and red, which represents yin and yang. So I imagine if you're trying to cool someone, then we use yin, blue. Trying to bring heat, we use red, yellow. Okay, we just going to, you can see there, the skin is beginning to raise. Is that pressure okay? Is it, let me know if it's too much. Okay, you can also target some of this small intestine points there. On the neck. Mention you have pain here. Is it in the right spot? Okay. So the best thing about these type of acupuncture, these cupping set is you can do it on yourself. You can reach behind it. I used to do that. After going to the gym, I'd have sore muscles, I'd sit in the sauna and I'd just take my plastic cups and I just put them on myself. It's really doable. And it's very inexpensive. I mean, this can't be more than like $30, so it's very doable. Highly recommend it. So what these cups are doing is that there, you can see it's turning a different color, red. Basically, it's trying to release some of what is called stagnation, stagnant blood, promote the smooth flow of chi. Okay, I'm gonna stick some over here. One came out, so let's go ahead and replace that with this. After some time they lose their suction and they just come off. It's not a big deal. We can just grab them again and replace them. There we go. So I think we utilized most of them. And sometimes they'll lose their suction. That's okay. We can just reintroduce it back. I'm going to stimulate the dermatomas here. Is this something that's, you feel this? Is it sharp?
Sure.
Okay. Just to kind of bring some irritation to the skin. We can just run it down. You can see them like, so we're running it on the urinary bladder channel. Okay, we don't want to do it on the governing vessel, which runs on the spine. That would be really uncomfortable. Let me know how this feels. If it's too much, let me know. If you need more pressure, let me know. I feel like this one needs more.
It feels good.
thing about the urinary bladder channel, as I mentioned, is it really targets all the organs, especially if you do cup them like this, because all the back shoes are here, right? Starting from the back shoe of the lung, the pericardium, the heart, the liver, the gallbladder. As we mentioned, as you can see, this area here is turning red. So a lot of chi stagnation. So it's very common to feel very tired the next day after doing cupping because we're moving so much of that stagnation out. There we go. Just run it here in the small intestine channel as well, which tends to be really tender for a lot of people. Cupping is really something that's done really well when we're trying to release the exterior. So whenever someone's showing signs of cold, for example, an external pathogenic attack such as viral virus, such as a common cold, releasing the exterior is good. So because we're releasing, kind of inducing like almost like a febrile response. You can see the redness here, which indicates heat. So we're releasing that heat, pathogenic heat. That's what it means by releasing the exterior. We can also do that with certain acupuncture points. LI11 by the elbow crease. That's a really good point for releasing the exterior. Lung 7 by the stylus radio stylus bone right over here. Is good for releasing exterior wind. So we can get pathogenic wind, usually enters here at the nape of the neck, especially as the seasons change, you know, it gets colder. We're more susceptible to external pathogenic attacks such as wind cold invasion. That's why recupping is really nice in the winter time. As I mentioned, I would do it in the sauna. So I highly recommend it. How are you doing so far? Okay. So just note that tomorrow you may feel really tired as a result of this. And that's just a common finding. Is that okay over there? Feeling a lot of tightness there as well. Basically, this entire back is tight, so it seems like more pressure, the better. That means we have a state of deficiency. If we have someone who doesn't like pressure, that means there's excess, there's too much. In this case, there's deficiency. We can either there's not enough yin, there's not enough qi, there's not enough blood. Those are deficiency symptoms. Insomnia, in fact, could be a blood yin deficiency. Okay, meaning not enough yin. So that's why we are awake at night. Okay, it could be blood qi deficiency. Yeah, this is starting to look like a really gruesome scene, but that's how you know that the therapeutic effects is working. Go. What I didn't mention is even closer to the governing vessel channel, just half a chin away, is the water jiajis. Those are really good to needle. I'm talking about stiff back like this. Those are extra points. They run just in between the governing vessel and the first row of the urinary bladder channel. So there's no stomach channel in the back, just in case you've seen that somewhere. It doesn't exist. Stomach channel's in the front. Here we go. I try to make these videos as accurate and as educational as possible so that you can use some of this information for yourself. Not just to relax and fall asleep, but you can take home some of these tidbits and apply some to yourself. So now you learn that you can actually cup your back. Of course, you won't be able to run up and down the urinary or bladder channel like this on your own. You need someone to help you. For the most part, you're able to put it on tender parts, or what we call trigger points. Knots on your back can be really useful. Okay. There we go. Just remove that. So by releasing the exterior, you're not kidding, because if you put your hand over this back, it's very, very hot. That's the exterior essentially being released there. We're just gonna cool it off with a spray here. It's a nice calming aura spray. Give it some massage. Tend to cover it so as not to lose the heat that we regenerated. Okay, and before we end the session, we can start where we started. We can end where we started from. Put away these cups. There we go. We'll just cover. We'll cover the person back up. And administer some healing energy. Okay. Go ahead and take a slow, easy, deep breath in here. With your eyes closed. Take a slow, easy, deep breath through your nose. Accepting kindness, forgiveness, and peace. Exhale any negative emotions that's holding you back, causing you to feel frustrated or angry. Of course, you have the right to those emotions, but you also have the choice to let them go when they're no longer useful. Each emotion serves their purpose and their function for the time being as a way of communicating to ourselves when we feel wronged and injustice. But bottling those in will only create problems for ourselves in the future. Take a slow, easy, deep breath in. And exhale, release. One more time on your own. And let it all out. I hope you enjoyed today's session. And if you're still here and you're still awake, I'd really love it if you can give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and write what your thoughts are in the comments. I always love hearing from you, and I try to respond to everyone. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you again for tuning in.